it's a great day to be with you. It's a great day. The sky is so blue, and on this bright day, beginning to end, I know one thing. I've got a friend. I do have a friend. Good morning. Good morning, friends. I want to show you something. Do you know what this is? That's right. This is a grocery bag. Do you know why I have it? I've just been back from the grocery store. Do you like to go to the grocery store? Isn't it wonderful? Full of all kinds of nutritious food and other useful items for your home. Did you know that a lot of times parents like to take their kids to the grocery store because they make such good helpers? Do you ever help your parents when you go to the store? I bet you do. Oh, listen to that. I'm getting a call. It's probably a friend. It's my friend Glory. Let's see what she has to say. Hi, Glory. What are you doing?
I'm going grocery shopping with my mom.
Are you good at grocery shopping with your mom?
Yeah.
What makes a kid a good helper at the grocery store?
Because if their mom tells them to go get something and pick it up, you can put it in the cart. And if she gets tired of pushing the cart, I can push it for her.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, Glory, we need some apples, and I would like 8 apples. Remember to check for bruises. It's a good one. Hey, Glory, get Mama a bag of rice.
Yes, Mama, I can do that. Mommy, there's usually a lot more rice than that.
Yeah, just get whatever they have.
Okay, Mama.
Hey, let's get some toilet paper.
Okay, Mama. Mommy, there isn't any toilet paper.
Now that you say that, I think you're right. Maybe some napkins?
Nope.
Paper towels?
Nope.
Baby wipes?
I don't think so.
I guess we'll just have to figure it out.
Yeah. This is my favorite part
Why is that?
because I get to put everything in the bag.
Why is that your favorite part?
Because I get a treat if I do it. The last thing Mom usually needs is help putting everything in the car.
Great job, Glory. Thanks for letting me go shopping with you.
No problem. Bye, Mr. Quincy.
Bye. She really was a good helper for her mom, wasn't she? Did you happen to notice that some of the shelves at the store were empty? Would that make you scared if there were some things running out at the store? I know it does me. When I went this morning, I could only find some things. I did find some cereal, some tortillas, pickles. I wasn't even looking for pickles, but I took what they had. I know peanut butter will keep you alive a long time. Oh, and my personal favorite. Do you know what these are? Radishes. Why radishes? That's what they had. It's time to make a sandwich, if I can. Well, my lunch is made. Today I've got a sandwich with peanut butter, pickles, and a tortilla. I'm so grateful for this food. And for dessert, a radish. What about you, Danny?
I have a hamburger bun with mustard, strawberry jam, and walnuts. This is ridiculous, Mr. Q. I can't do this. What about you, Freddy? Hey, where's Freddy?
What does he say?
I have no idea.
Freddy, please, take off the mask.
Mr. Quincy, I was hungry. So I decided I was going to go down to the store, like anyone would do, a grocery store. And you know what? I got there. There was barely any food. And I was looking for 4 very important ingredients for my grandma's special delicious wrap. And when you know it, somebody had taken the last of the tortillas, the last of the peanut butter, the last of the pickles, and the last of the fresh radishes, and I got nothing.
Freddie, I don't know who would do such a thing, but I'm sure we have something in the pantry you could eat.
Thanks, Mr. Q.
You're welcome. Did you find everything okay?
Well, there wasn't any more pickles, radishes, or tortillas, but I was able to whip something up.
What? You got a chili dog?
Well,
It's really good.
not exactly. There was no chili, you see. So I had to use canned kidney beans. And there was no thawed hot dog buns. So I had to use the ones that you had in the freezer.
I forgot about those.
Yeah. And there was no cheese. So I had to use this bamboo.
Bamboo?
Yeah, I shredded it so it looks like cheese.
That looks delicious.
Yeah, it sure does.
I'm sorry that you couldn't make your grandma's wrap, Freddie, but that does look good. Are you grateful, Freddie?
I can't live like this anymore, Mr. Q! This is the worst thing I've ever had! The bamboo doesn't taste like cheese, and the hot dog bun is frozen!
Oh, look there. We have a visitor. I wonder who it could be.
Oh, I think I know who that is.
Rainforest Delivery. Got a package for Mr. Freddie Fearful.
Yeah, thanks, that's me! Bye!
Freddie, what do you got? Some tools? Some
Oh,
hardware?
man, even better! This is the most important thing in the world to me right now.
Oh, some solar panels in case we run out of electricity.
No!
A backup generator. Yes.
No, are you crazy?
Have you seen what we just
It
ate?
is the most important thing that we need right
Yeah,
now.
some good food or a backup generator.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper.
Yes.
Really, Freddie? Toilet paper.
This is really important.
You just
We
ate
need
bamboo
this.
shoots.
Do you know how hard this is to get? Mr. Q. Didn't you know there was nothing there?
Friends, first of all, we've left Mr. Prime out in the cold.
How do you do, Mr. Q?
Mr. Prime. As always, thank you, neighbor.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, man.
So this is really important. We need all of this. Of
Friends.
course. And I have more coming tomorrow.
I appreciate the toilet paper, Freddie. And Danny, I agree. A backup generator is a great idea. But there's something far more important I think I need to remind you about.
What's that, Mr. Q?
Yeah, what's that?
Let's sit down. You know, times are hard and uncertain right now. And we do have to prepare for the worst. And we have to work extra hard to take care of ourselves right now. But I've noticed that both of you are afraid.
I am afraid. I don't think there's enough toilet paper in the world to make me not afraid.
God doesn't want us to be afraid.
How can we not be afraid in times like this?
Yeah.
By putting our trust in Him. Think about it. Freddie, nice suit, but do you really trust that suit to protect you?
No, it's got a lot of holes in it, actually.
Do you trust toilet paper to see you through hard times? Danny, do you really trust in electricity to take care of you? Do you trust in a backup generator? Friends, we can only trust in God. He's the one who takes care of us, always has, through good times and through hard times. We can't trust in the grocery store. We can't trust in Mr. Prime or the Rainforest Delivery Company to give us things. We trust in God to give us things. I really think it's time for a Bible story. Would you guys like to hear a Bible story?
I would.
I thought so. Let's call my friend Mr. Matt.
Hi, Mr. Q. Thanks for calling me. And hi, kids. How are you doing? Man, I miss you guys so much. I miss some high fives. I miss seeing you run around all over, your smiling faces, your laughter, and some of you, maybe some crying and some sadness, but that's okay. I miss you guys so much, and I can't wait to see you guys again. I hope it's soon, but at least I can talk to you this way. Thanks for calling me, Mr. Q. You know, today we're talking about being afraid. Now, God doesn't want us to be afraid. Did you know that? But what does that mean, not being afraid? Does that mean not being scared at all? I mean, we're all scared of something, aren't we? I'm scared of snakes. I don't like snakes at all. Now, my wife, she's scared of spiders. Spiders don't scare me, but snakes, I don't like them. Does God not want me to be scared of snakes? Is that what we're talking about? You know, another thing is, sometimes we do get scared of things, right? My son, Isaac, he came up with this thing a couple of years ago. You see, one day, I was driving home from work, and I got home, and I opened my garage door, and I drove right on in, and I closed the garage door, and I was so excited to go inside, see my family, eat some dinner, and I got out of my car, and I walked inside, and someone was hiding around the corner. And I had no idea. And I walked right in, and Isaac went, "Rah!" And I went, "Yeah!" And he was laughing so much, and it scared me. He really scared me. And he was laughing so much, and I said, Isaac, that was a good one. You really did scare me. But we shouldn't scare everyone like that. And I thought it would be a good idea to teach him something. And so I said, Isaac, if you're going to scare me like that, I get to scare you like that. It's only fair. You shouldn't scare me if you're not willing to be scared yourself. So we play this game all the time where we sometimes scare each other. And we think it's funny. But we really get scared. Now, is that what God is talking about? Is that what we're talking about today when the Bible says we shouldn't be afraid, we should fear not? We're not talking about being scared like that. That's our reaction if someone were to jump out of the bushes at us. We're not talking about that. God is talking about being afraid of what the future might hold. Being afraid of the things going on around us, like the situation we're in right now with this virus. Are we supposed to be afraid? God says no. No, I don't want my children to be afraid. You see, God, He made us. He made all of us. He made each one of you. We're like this big. In a earth that He made, that's like this big. In a galaxy that He made, that's like humongous. In a universe that He made, which is even bigger. And it's all in His hands. He's in full control of everything. And He says, don't be afraid. I know you see what's going on, and it looks like it's scary. You might think you're afraid of whatever it is. You might not know what's going to happen tomorrow. But I know. And don't be afraid. And so there's a great, great Bible lesson about this, about not being afraid. Now, some of my kids in Home Zone, they heard this a few weeks ago, but I have to tell it again because this is a great story. There was a king. Oh, there's lots of kings in the Bible, isn't there? This king, King Nebuchadnezzar. And King Nebuchadnezzar, oh man, he was just making more and more money. He was buying more and more land. And he kept getting bigger and getting more stuff and getting wealthier. And what do you think happened to King Nebuchadnezzar, who just kept getting more and more stuff, like so many people tend to do? He started getting prideful. Oh, look at me, oh King Nebuchadnezzar. I am so amazing. I have so much land, such big armies, so much money. Oh, and as a matter of fact, I think I should build a statue. Yes, a statue of myself. Oh, that sounds wonderful. And now this King Nebuchadnezzar, he was just full of himself. And he thought he would make a statue of himself. And the king said, let's make it 20 feet tall. No. 40 feet tall. No.
90 feet tall. He made a 90-foot statue of himself, and he made it with gold. Can you believe that? I don't even know how tall it is. I think the tallest my house is 20 feet. And this statue is 90 feet of himself. Oh, and this king said, after we make this statue, I want everyone to bow down to it when they hear the music play. And he commanded everyone to bow down and worship his statue when the music played. Oh man, this King Nebuchadnezzar. And so he built the statue. And the music would play and everyone would bow down to this statue. And I wonder who was bowing down to the statue. Maybe there were some people who really believed in the statue and they were really worshiping the statue. I wonder if some people did not want to bow down to that statue. I wonder if some people were afraid. They were afraid. You know why they might be afraid? Because King Nebuchadnezzar made a nasty rule. He said, if you don't bow down to my statue, you will get thrown in the fiery furnace. Anybody want to go to the fiery furnace? No, I don't think so. And I think some people might have been afraid. They said, I don't want to die. I don't want to go into a fiery furnace. And maybe some people were so afraid of going into a fiery furnace that they bow down and worship the statue anyway, because they were afraid of what would happen to them if they didn't, even if they didn't want to bow down to the statue. But there were 3 people. Some of you know their name. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Oh, these 3 guys. They knew somebody special. They knew the God. They knew the Almighty God. They believed in Him and they trusted in Him. And they knew that God said, you should not bow down and worship any other idols but me. And these 3 had a decision to make. Oh man, King Nebuchadnezzar just made this rule. If we don't bow down, we could get thrown in the fiery furnace. Oh, but Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they did not bow down. They stood standing because they were obeying God. They were doing what was right. But King Nebuchadnezzar, he had some soldiers or some men who saw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They saw him not bowing down. Oh, and they came to the king and they said, oh, King Nebuchadnezzar, we have something to tell you. There's these 3 guys, you might know them, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They did not bow down to your statue. They did not. What should we do about that? And King Nebuchadnezzar, he was angry. He said, no, they didn't bow down to my statue? Oh, bring them to me. I need to talk to them. Oh, and King Nebuchadnezzar was so mad. He was so angry. And so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came to the king. And the king, he knew these 3. And he knew these 3 were good guys. And so the king said, oh, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, maybe you didn't hear my rule. So I'm going to be a little nice to you and give you a second chance here. You might not have heard the rule, so let me just tell you the rule again. When the music plays, you need to bow down and worship my statue. Okay? Does that sound good now? I'll give you a second chance. Now, if you were Shadrach, Meshach, or Abednego, what would you be thinking right now? Oh, we have a choice to make. We could either just do what he says and just bow down to the statue and then we won't go into the fiery furnace. Or do we really trust God? Do we really believe on Him? Now, that would be a tough decision. but not for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They knew God. And they said, excuse me, King. They were very nice to the king here, but they said, Mr. King, thank you, but we don't need a second chance because we're not going to bow down to your statue. You see, we worship God, the God, and our God is so mighty, he could actually save us from the fiery furnace. I mean, that's how big our God is. Now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they didn't know if they would be saved, but they knew God could save them if he wanted to, because they knew who God was. And they knew to obey God was the right thing to do, and they should not be afraid. They knew they could obey and count on God to deliver them. And so they told the king they would not bow down. And the king, you thought he was mad before. Oh, King Nebuchadnezzar. Make the furnace 7 times hotter for these guys. He was so mad. King Nebuchadnezzar told him to make the furnace 7 times hotter than it was. And told his soldiers, bound up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and take them to the furnace. He was mad that they would not worship him and his statue. So, what happened? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were brought to the fiery furnace. I don't know if they were scared, but reading the Bible, I don't think they were that scared. I think they really trusted God. They knew God would either save them or they would go see God pretty soon if they burned up. They were just so confident in God. And so the king sat back and he was looking at the furnace. Oh, he was watching Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego get thrown in the fiery furnace. And he wanted to watch them. And he was watching the furnace. And the soldiers brought him up and threw him in the fiery furnace. And the Bible says the furnace was so hot, that even the soldiers who threw him in got burnt from the heat. It just burned them so bad. And the soldier threw him in. The king is watching as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego go into the furnace. And the king's watching. Guys, do you see this, guys? I see 3 guys. They're in the furnace, and they're not even burning. Do you see this? Am I seeing something here? And the king kept looking. He kept looking closer. How are they walking around in there? And he said, wait a minute. Wasn't there 3 people in there? We threw 3 people in. I see 4. I see 4 people in the furnace. King could not believe it. Now, who do you think that 4th person was that was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace? With them, protecting them. And the king could not believe it. And he said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, come out of that furnace right now. You come on out. And they walked out. And their clothes were not burnt. They didn't even smell like smoke. And the ropes that they were tied with, the ropes had burned off. And they walked out. Do you think they were excited? Can you imagine that? I would have been so excited. Like, what? And you walked out. And the king saw that. And King Nebuchadnezzar said, you guys, your God is real. I just saw your God save you. And because of that, there will be no more worshiping my statue. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make a law that says you can worship that God. The God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you can worship him because he just saved you
from the fiery furnace. Wow, is that amazing? What an amazing story of not being afraid, because that's pretty scary. I would be afraid. In fact, sometimes I am afraid. Oh, I gotta be honest with you, kids. I'm afraid sometimes. I'm afraid of telling people about Jesus. Why would I be afraid of that? I'm afraid they might make fun of me. I'm afraid maybe they'll try to hurt me. I'm just afraid. And God says, don't be afraid. Do what I've told you to do, and I will protect you. As a matter of fact, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." You see, the Holy Spirit, God did not give us any fear. There is no fear. That's not part of who God is. So if we have fear, that's not from Him. And God does not want us to be afraid. We can walk boldly and confidently with God in us. Now, kids, I have an object lesson for you. I want to illustrate a little picture about what it might be like to not be afraid. Now, I need a couple of helpers up here, so I've got some people that I can be quarantined with. You know what I mean? Come on up here, son. Can you please stand up here? Elia, please stand up here. I've got my kids with me, and they're going to help me illustrate this object lesson for you. But I need you to be very obedient. Can you do exactly what I tell you to do? You got to obey orders, okay? Can you do that? The first thing I need you to do is put your hand out. Can you put your hand out like this? Make a nice cup. Make a nice cup. Hold it up high, Elliot. Can you hold it up there? You got your arm there? Okay, keep it out. Keep it out straight. Keep it out in front of you. Are you okay? All right, I'm going to give you some. We're all going to get a cup here. All right, hold your hand up there. Hold your cup. Hold it nice and tight. There we go. Hold your cup. Got it? And now I'm going to have my cup too. All righty. They're empty. And I'm going to give us all a little drink of water. Hold it out in front of you, Elia. Hold it out just like this. All right. I'm going to give me some water. We'll get the same amount here. Yeah, that's good. Looks good. I'll give you a little more. And we'll give you some water. Hold it still, Elia. Hold it still. All right, I'll give you some more water. Here we go. Okay, hey, keep your hand up. Keep your hand up. All right. Now we're going to take our cup and we're going to place it on top of our head. Can you do that? Can you hold it there, Elia? Hold it there, Isaac? Okay, we're doing good so far. Now when I count to three, you're going to slowly do a circle. Okay? Can you do that? Hold your cup on your head. 1, 2, 3. All right, good. Okay, hold your cup on your head. Okay, oh, don't spill it. Okay, last step, big step. On the count of 3, we are going to take our cup and we are going to dump it on our head. We're going to dump it on our head. Oh, don't spill it. Can we do that? Can you trust me? On the count of 3, we're going to just dump it on our head. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. You can maybe go. Thank you, little helpers. You did not get wet. They did not get wet. They trusted in me. Now that was a silly little object lesson, but it has some truth in there. You see, the kids, Isaac and Elia, might have been a little afraid. I told them to dump the cup of water on their head. And they thought they would get wet. Why? Well, they saw me pour water in their cup. They saw it. They felt the weight of the water in their cup. And they knew that the water was in the cup over their head. And when I said dump it on their head, they knew from everything that they saw and experienced and felt, they knew they were going to get wet. And that's a little bit like being afraid. You see, we see things that are going on in the world. And we see things, we hear things, we experience things, we feel things, and we think, I know what's going to happen. This is not going to be good. This is going to be bad. I know if I do this, it's going to be bad. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego could have thought, man, if we don't bow down, we're going to get thrown in the furnace. And we think, like Isaac and Elia thought, that they were going to get wet, because that's all they knew. But God knows more. God knows things we don't know. God sees things we can't see. And God says, oh, children, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I know what it looks like. I know what you're thinking. But trust me. Through it all, through anything, whatever happens, God's way is the right way. And we don't have to walk around being scared and being afraid. We can walk with joy and walk around confident, knowing we have Jesus in our heart and He's protecting us and He's caring for us and He loves us. Kids, I hope you remember that today. I hope you remember whatever we think is going on, we don't have to be afraid. And as a matter of fact, God says, don't be afraid. Fear is not something that comes from God. Well, kids, I'm just about out of time. So I got to give the phone back to Mr. Q. But I can't wait to see you all again. I just miss you guys so much. Until next time, until we meet again, bye.
What a beautiful story of trust.
Man, I couldn't imagine anything more tough than what they went through. That's much more difficult than what we're going through.
Yeah, and they didn't have to be afraid because they knew God was literally walking around with them in the scariest part of their life.
Yes, and friends, God is walking with us in this scary time of our lives.
Wow.
Don't forget about that. We can trust in Him. Nothing else is worth trusting in, because nothing else provides for us. Nothing else is as strong as God. You know, kids, you might be scared, especially going to the store and seeing shelves empty, people walking around wearing masks, hearing on the news about people getting sick or even dying, and that is scary. But remember that God is with us in this time, and He doesn't want you to be afraid. You know, you should go to the store and get the supplies you need, but when you do, remember that it's God who supplies, not the grocery store, not money. And with all this free time we have on our hands, we can use this time to get closer to Him. The closer you get, the more you trust Him. One way you can do that this week, kids, is to memorize our Bible verse. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 says, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind."
Wow. That makes me really want to sing a song that I heard. You ever heard of Zach Williams?
Yeah.
He's got a song called Fear's a Liar that reminds me of that exact story.
Yes.
Well, Danny, Freddie, since we were all told to shelter in place, you know you're stuck in my house, right?
Well, at least we have enough toilet paper.
I think
Yeah.
we do. And we'll be back next week. Bye, kids.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't.
It was long enough.